Hello YouTube, we have a brand new Mongoose mountain bike here, and we are just going to go over a easy assembly of this partially assembled bicycle. So it's a mountain bike. Let's get started. All right, now that we have the bicycle out of the box, first step is to cut open all of these different zip ties and make sure that we separate the front wheel from the rest of the frame here. You can see the bike is partially assembled, so we have the rear wheel already assembled to the frame, and the next step, we're gonna inspect the bike, make sure that everything is good to go, there's no damage. You can see this bike in particular has the quick release hubs, and these are generally used to remove all of these different components such as the wheel without the use of tools. So that's useful. However, your bike may come with an actual bolts where you need an Allen key to open that, so you can use that as well. Now that you have the bike cleaned up from all of the packaging, front wheel's right there. You have you want to identify your parts, make sure that everything's there. So obviously you have the seat. Most of the time, most of these other parts are going to come assembled, such as these reflectors. And then you have your pedals, along with some other accessories. What you want to do first is assemble the handlebars. So the handlebars in this particular model are already pre-assembled. So what you want to do is loosen the top of this, the handlebar assembly in this situation. Just make sure you don't damage anything. You're going to loosen this Allen key right here, or Allen bolt, and raise this up a little bit. And then obviously you can see the forks are facing forward. The way you can tell is you have your assembly up here on the front. Also, there's usually a sign that says that this is the rear. You see right there, it says rear. So what we're gonna do is loosen this, flip it around, and then loosen these two bolts right here, and install our handlebars. when doing the handlebar assembly, you want to make sure that you tighten these Allen bolts right there. And before you do that, before you tighten everything up, just make sure that it aligns. Usually there's this grooved section right there. So you want to make sure both ends are aligned. You can tighten that later. Also make sure that it aligns with the fork, front fork. Obviously you want to check later on and see if the height is good for the rider. The other main thing that most people don't check when they're assembling this is the actual positioning of the handlebars. So you can see if you go from the back, these are too high for me, so I have to twist them forward like so to a comfortable position. So, and you want to tighten that, because if you let go, it'll go back. So you want to make sure you tighten it in a comfortable position. You don't have to over tighten, because you can check these later and improve that. All right, your next step is to take the tire and wheel and assemble it onto the front fork with the disc brakes, if you have so. If you have those, you want to turn that to the side where the brake caliper's at, and make sure everything aligns. And your main point here is for you to make sure that these fork mounting points assemble and click into these axle bolts right there. So there's one on one side and the other one on the other side, and then you can tighten that. All right, so this uses a quick release system. So what you want to do is run this through. Before you run this through, you want to loosen this bolt right here and run it from the opposite side, from the non-disc side, so that the quick release is on the right side of your bicycle. Again, and then you're gonna tighten this nut on this side over here once you run it through these little holes. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a hole in the axle right there. So your key factor here is that you want to make sure that your forks are right on the edges here. And usually the procedure is for you to insert the quick release pin here, or the skewer as they call it. Make sure that these springs are pointed with the narrow side inside, and what you do is you insert it through right there. You want to make sure is that you take the other side. Again, this is going to be in the parts for the quick release in the little box there. So what you want to do is thread this on from this side and at the same time push this in. And again, make sure that this is in the open position. This is the loose position. When you twist it down, it's going to be the closed position. So and you want to keep threading this until you feel some decent resistance. Finger tighten. And what you want to do next is try to close the quick release lever. Now it's hard to close right here, so what that means is you tighten it too much, loosen it up a little bit. And then check and see if it's closing. If not, you want to loosen it some more and then make sure it closes. All right, so once you tighten your skewer there, make sure you push the quick release lock down And again, you can test it out by making sure that the wheel is centered. Just double check, make sure that the wheel is in the center with the axles. If it's not centered properly, you want to loosen this up and then move it to the side, and then make sure that you tighten it back up once you center it. Next, you want to do the seat with a quick release method that this bike has. You can use, it's very simple. You just want to pick up the seat here and just release the quick release lever like so, and simply insert the seat. You want to pay attention that there is a minimum mark that you have to look at. It should be here somewhere. And so basically it means that you have to push the seat down up to that mark in order to make sure that it's safe. You want to do it further down if you are obviously a shorter rider. If you're a little bit taller, you may want to move it up. So basically you drop it down and you lock the quick release on the side. Now keep in mind, if this is too loose and you sit on it and it drops, what you want to do is you want to open up the quick release lever, and then you want to tighten by holding it on the other side and then tighten over on this side. And then once you feel some resistance when you're closing the quick release lever, that's going to be a much tighter fit, and then you're going to make sure that your bike or your seat doesn't move up and down as you ride. Next, you want to install the pedals. The pedals usually are marked left and right. The threading will also kind of let you know, because what you want to do is you have to make sure that when you're inserting these and tightening them up, you're going to use clockwise for the right side pedal and counterclockwise for the left side pedal. So it's sort of kind of counterintuitive, but let's start with the left. Again, on this bike here. So we're going to take the left one, which is here, designated with an L. And remember, the counterclockwise applies for left. So you want to start threading it slowly, but you want to make sure that it's entering at a proper angle. So if you feel resistance immediately, that means you're not threading it correctly. So you want to make sure that you correct your thread here. And in order to finish the job, what you have to do is you have to use a 15 mil wrench and just continue tightening . Again, once you tighten all of this, you're going to do the same thing on with your other pedal. The other thing you want to make sure is to remove this dust cap right here. And then once you remove the dust cap, you're going to actually use a wrench to tighten this as well. And you use a 15 mil socket for this to tighten the actual axle right here for the pedals. So you're going to do that after you install the pedals. All right, your bike is ready and assembled to go. What you want to do is always check the centering here in case during the assembly something has moved, and then double check, make sure that your caliper spacing, if the bike is equipped with that, is good. Brakes are good. You can check that by making sure the bike doesn't move when you hit the brakes, obviously. There's some instructions on how to tighten the brakes, but that's covered in your manual, depending on the type of bike you have. But the main thing that I found is that this tends to be loose when you start riding it, so you want to tighten it a little bit more so that your forks are aligned with your handlebars. That's it. Good luck.